afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the session on circular economy and industry. My name is Vinh. I'm from UNDP Vietnam, United Nations Development Program, and currently I'm managing a portfolio of circular economy, waste and chemicals. These days, we are hearing more about circular economy, and circular economy is defined in the Law on Environmental Protection 2020 as a model, an economic model, including design, production, transportation, and services to aim at reducing raw materials, extending product life, reducing waste generation, and minimize the impact on the environment. And also, currently, we are working with the ministry on the new National Action Plan on Circular Economy. And especially, we also seeing the introduction of the law on EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility. So what is the challenges for industry to move from linear to circular? And who are the important key stakeholders in this stage? Who are the leading industry can encouraging people, encouraging the others to follow the circularity? So today we are having the circular economy experts and also industry representatives to share more about this issue. So to introduce to the presentation, I would like to introduce Kim Lê. Kim, okay, you are here. So Kim is the CEO from CL2B, a consulting company promoting circular economy in Vietnam. Will walk us through how circular economy can achieve the SCG. Over to you, Kim.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Great. So, hello everyone. Feel a little bit pressure because this is the last section, and I'm preparing a stack of paper here, but I'm trying to make it light for you guys because it's the last section, right? First of all, I'm Kim. I'm CEO and founder of CL2B. CL2B is Circular Economy Consulting Boutique. We've been operating for 5 years. What we do, we're not an expert. We like calling ourselves as decision facilitator to accelerate circular economy, because circular economy is still not yet a standard, is still not coming out, and we're still practicing and then trying to testing a lot of model. So saying expert is a little bit arrogant for me. I'm very humbled today to sharing experience in 5 years how we, trying to redesign the system and recreate the supply chain toward closed loop and closed loop supply chain of circular economy. But later you're gonna have to actually more real doing and case from IKEA, and Anh from DUYTAN, who doing it in circular economy. So I'm going to walk through the principle of circular economy a bit before we go to practice that. So most question I have from everyone is why circular economy in my why I started my journey in circular economy. And I would like to share that when I started in manufacturing, I was working in manufacturing and supply chain first. And I just realized that we're totally dependent on natural resources. I was trying to understand why the linear economy happened. And I recognize that linear economy were gradually institutionalized as a global economic system after industrial revolution. And carry on in the work, I keep repeatedly meeting the mindset of linear economy is like the power of accepting that the exploitation of environment is assumed and necessary to the a necessary act to create economy, make development and growth. And it's among political and leader in business assume that environmental damage is considered as a side effect of economic action. So that is one of the mindset of circular economy, that, of linear economy, and still remaining. And of course, that linear economy mindset, one of that is the impact of linear economy. And of course, you have all environmental crisis nowadays that we cannot, ignoring anymore. However, what I want to share about one impact, one symptom, I see it very clearly, is the inequality. So the social and environmental inequality is shown for me being shown very clearly in terms of wealth distribution and the goods distribution. So I travel everywhere and I see that the wealth gap of rich and then poor people getting larger and larger. And then as well, the good being distributed amongst the supply chain being unequal, where a part of the earth we're wasting it, and there is a part that people cannot access to the good they need. So I see there is a clear rate or the strongest symptom of a linear economy. And it actually, that symptom already be seen and recognized since 1970. However, business wasn't adapting it for a very simple reason, that it was believed that environmental metric aim to restrict economic activity, and business leader, of course, doesn't want that. And circular economy are basically trying to change that skeptic attitude. Circular economy is sustainable, aim to bring sustainable economic prosperity in line with the environmental protection. In other words, that circular economy is economic-oriented approach that aim to protect environment without limiting economic action. But saying that we already see, and via the talking of legal, British and other business earlier, you already can see the benefit of circular economy. Clearly, often I separate circular economy approach into approach. One is to optimize the production, the operation of business, and the second is to gain more business opportunity via adopting circular economy. And in operation, business and manufacturing here got it via concept or working toward operation excellence, material optimization, and as well adopting innovation in order to reducing waste and increasing the efficiency and reduce the loss rate of material in production. But of course, we're talking a lot around how circular economy going to circulating the material and the natural resource, which it aim toward a natural resource generation and, of course, reduce the exploitation that we have. Aiming toward later on that we can less dependence on natural resource. However, I don't think that we can be totally independent, but going to be less natural resources later on. And I'm gonna walk you through on how we often working toward and working with client when we transition to circular economy. As said, often we're going to identify sticking the approach, the client problem along the product life cycle, where we're seeing the value chain and the supply chain of and where the business concept or bringing the value in the product life cycle in order to see how we can approaching it. And every business is different. And the problem and we see the problem along the product life cycle really to have client in terms of going to be in operation side, with changing the design and manufacturing or changing the material sources and how moving the recycled material supply chain back in Vietnam or domestically, locally. And whole of that is around the operation and changing the current operation of the business. But in a long term, where business had to working a little bit harder is where had to work with different partners and building a community to actually work with them, because business often cannot operate alone. There is a different supplier along to have them deliver the product to the consumer, or at the end of life, which is, and Vinh just mentioned around the EPR, extended producer responsibility, on how in how's the regulation, working with government and working with different partners to leverage the capability of the supplier and the infrastructure for the waste collection. I feel like it's kind of overwhelming if we're coming in detail of that, but happy to answer a question later. Come to circular, because today we talk about circular economy, ESG. There is a typo there. Circular economy on ESG reporting. And this is by EY Consulting in 2022, already rating on how the transparency and reporting of circular economy in ESG report. And it actually is already been declaring in different sustainability report of different corporations. However, this is a sectoral separation. It's the same with EY and CL2B in a way that we see consumer product and apparel and textile is the two most active sector when declaring and active in circular economy. And there is a reason for that. With me, I believe because in consumer product, apparel and textile, the product lifespan is rather short. So it not only consumes a lot of natural resources, but as well it putting quite heavy pressure on the local infrastructure, where the local infrastructure for solid waste management and solid waste handling is not there yet. So that's why different activity in FMCG and apparel textile is rather, booming, and as coming with the business opportunity on this whole sector as well. And circular economy actually contribute quite directly on different ESG report, especially the GRI, on the zero waste, reducing weight, and as well the recyclability of the product. Into the practice, every sector have different goals and different role they play on the product life cycle. For example, in FMCG, we see that they focus more on the innovation of innovative packaging and involve a lot more in contribution of the solid waste infrastructure of the of local regarding solid waste management. However, in chemical sector, the circular economy, they active in terms of material innovation, bonding material development in order to enable the end of life. So this is more like it's going to be last section talking about my thinking about my experience in accelerating circular economy in Vietnam. It's about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is actually, I see that as entrepreneurship is a circular economy spiritual to unlock innovation. A lot of that I see it as well benefit, but it's as well the bottleneck. Because we can see that a lot of SME actually catching circular economy as a competitive advantage and building their business model around circular economy. But eventually it comes to bottleneck when they actually focus more on building in a structure of linear economy only. Just because of they too focus on the benefit and advancing on it, but forgot that circular economy is toward the balance and bringing the social and environmental equality. So SME often lacking of that, lacking of capability, and still organize around the linear structure. Why actually entrepreneurship is a little bit lacking on large and big corporation and MNC, where the mindset is the fear of failure. And I think with circular economy, it's really difficult to be not, or it's going to be not a systematic transition, or we're not able to transition to circular economy if large SME not making decision to fail. That we need to try to scale innovation in order not to success, but to learn the lesson, what we can do next. I can share more later on, but I think this is going to be keynote of my sharing today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kim, for the presentation, especially to share the connection between the circular economy and ESG, the main topic of our event today. Also, Kim was the one of the 15 finalists from the UNDP's competition on Plastic Innovation Challenge organized 2 years ago in ASEAN. So she proposed a solution to prevent the plastic pollution in proposed to Quảng Ninh, Hạ Long Bay, the beautiful Hạ Long, which was very impressed. Next, I would like to introduce chị Cao Thị Ngọc Bích, Project Lead, Renewable Energy and Circularity in IKEA, will walk us through the IKEA partnership with the suppliers on circular economy.
Thank you, Vinh. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you are enjoying the day. And we are the last of people to presenting today. And may I know how many of you to know about our IKEA? Can you raise your hand? Wow, thank you very much. Okay, even though we have a million of people knowing our name, but we feel that it's still a little to know about who we are. Actually, IKEA is a home furnishing business in the world. And some of you already know about that. We have a big responsibility and opportunity to influence every life at home and beyond. So at IKEA, we have a unique possibility to make a sustainable living desirable, affordable, attractive, and also accessible to everyone. Starting about our vision to create a better every life for the many people. From this, we think that it's also a question, our why. I think everyone to work with IKEA learned this one by heart. And we need to do something in different ways. What is the time it's living and what is the area for us to work with? We need to think about more sustainable business. And that is come to from our business model too, when working with all the suppliers here in Vietnam. We have also defined a key major challenge we have been working with, which is very much relevant to our business. And learning from experience, we also think that the challenge can become an opportunity. And the limitation also can leading us to the amazing innovation. And corresponding for that focus area to the people and the planet's positive. We have 3 focus here. The first one is about healthy and sustainable living, which will enable and inspire the people who will have better, more sustainable life. The second area is circular and climate positive. We want to use the transformation IKEA business to have more circular business and positive way of working internal IKEA. The third area is fair and equal, providing and also encouraging the people to have more meaningful work and also living wage. So among of this, we believe that the circular and climate positive will be the connection among those of focus area, and we are committed to. First, transforming into the circular business. The second is becoming the climate positive. The third one is regenerating resources, protecting ecosystem, and improving biodiversity. So this one, all of the business team here in our Southeast Asia to work with, specifically in the Vietnam office, Ho Chi Minh-based location, we all commit to work with this and influence that into all the business in our daily life. On the connection to the circular and climate positive, there are some examples of key commitment from us. From IKEA, in overall, we will cut climate footprint by average 70% per product by 2030. And from this, the first one is about our material. We want to create on the product to work with renewable and recycled material by 2030. And we have very clear goal to our supplier to work with on the material. I will come to next slide with the on the material later on. To also support to that, it's also striving for 100% renewable electricity, particularly. So we have also project to work with all the supplier and facilitate them to use the renewable electricity to commit to the IE 100 by 2025. The last one is the innovative way to restore, manage, and protect our material. Because IKEA, we work with a lot of components, and we need to be responsible into that. The same as what Kim already shared, transforming from linear to circular economy, we believe that that will create a life for the many of the people in our supply chains. On the product coming from our customer, they can resell to the other customer, they can refurbishment, they can remanufacturing, and they can recycle. With very clear ambition from us, we will develop the secondary raw material in Southeast Asia and in also the other region, especially in Vietnam, we already start with. So it should be availability of the secondary raw material and traceability about our responsible resource and affordable price to the many of the people. So the secondary raw material project have been on board across on the region. And in Southeast Asia, I'm the one to lead for on the material have to be turned into recycle later on our existing range. So at IKEA, we have 12 material direction. And in here is presenting for the secondary raw material, paper, plastic, wood, textile, and metal, and how we are going to work with that. So on the plastic and textile is the biggest part in our Southeast Asia. It's around 44,000 plastic we are using today and 220 million of meter of textile we are using today to making on product. And presenting for this, actually Vietnam is the biggest country in Southeast Asia to have this kind of material. So we need to be prioritize that in our project. We have gone through all the mapping of the supply chain and also deep dive into that. And from the informal waste picker to the collectors to recycler and converter. We need to be responsible resource for all the material we are using today before entering to our IKEA business partner. So this is the one we already have the ambition. So we use we accelerate the feedstock and building the capacity with the responsible resource and working with the innovation to return in that. So there are some stepwise for us to work with. In 2023, we already finished the I-Way must at some recycler and already built up the minimum requirement and specification. And not stop from that, in 2024, we will driving the I-Way at our nominate waste collector and working together with innovation team, working with the product design team to design for the recycling and increase use of recycled material to existing range. And in 2025, we will also enter into the post-consumer supply chain and want to integrate on the whole value chain into our product. What we have achieved so far, there are some products I would like to present in here. We already finished 100% recycled PP for one of our iconic blue bags. What you also can see if you enter into IKEA store, recycled PP insert board and non-woven fabric that already implement and producing here in Vietnam, all of this. Recycled felt and also recycled PET, making the fueling fiber to our toys product. And all of this, we already built up the recycler here with full compliance. There are some ongoing activity for us to work with social entrepreneurship. And for this one, we have the separately project together and working in here. On the ocean-bound plastic, we work with DUYTAN. And this one we will implement to our fueling product, especially for soft toy, cushion, and comfort seating and sofa. We are also working with another project called low-value plastic transformation. For this one, we have already found a new supplier and working with our innovation team to design for the furniture and accessory where the low-value plastic can meet to. I think the last activity is very good activity, in my opinion, because I'm the one to lead in this too, and I work with all the IKEA store in Southeast Asia, especially in Thailand and also Indonesia, to take back on the used textile. And we will have an innovative way to work with all the manufacturing here in Vietnam, how to return it that to our product, like felt, polyester, or cotton fabric. And I think some of that we already work with CL2B here as well for this, and we are going to make it more. And we also work with the new supplier here in Vietnam to take back the PET bottle. If you have been in Aeon Mall these days, we also have the activity to collect on the PET bottle with that new supplier to work with the textile later on. Thank you. I think these are all the things I would like to present for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chị Ngọc. So we have two presentations already, and it seems that we talk a lot on plastic, right? And to share with you, and probably you have know, as we are sitting here today, more than 180 countries are convening in Paris, France, to discuss about the upcoming global treaty on plastic. So we know that we have a climate change protocol, biodiversity convention, and now, sure, we will have another convention or treaty or agreement on plastic. And there's a lot of work to do on plastic. So on plastic, I would like to introduce Mr. Lê Anh, Sustainability Director, DUYTAN Plastic, one of the biggest plastic industry in the country. Over to you, Mr. Lê Anh.
Thank you, Mr. Vinh. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all awake for a very long discussion today. And today I would like to share with you about our green journey. So maybe many of you heard about DUYTAN recycling and know what we are doing in the industry. So talking about recycling is a very new industry in Vietnam, especially. And this is our factory located in Long An. And we're talking about the journey. We have some statistics for you. And really, for me, this is a not good statistic. Because why? So in the world, we are number 4 in global for the trash, especially plastic. And this statistic also show the bottle you ring and throw into the environment today. It takes 450 years to melt down into the soil. So if we ring today, so it takes another 450 years. It's quite long, right? So for the rising is 3.3 million tons of plastic per year. And you see this picture is the picture we don't want to see. Is we throwing to the sea is 0.73 million tons of plastic per year. And how is collecting and recycling? Is very small. So you see the collecting is only 27, and 33% is come to where? It's come to the soil, it's come to the sea, it come to anywhere. And the recycle is only 10%. But this 10% is only the downstream recycle. It would come to where? It's come to pallet, it's come to flower pot, so it's not come back to the circular economy. So this is the result come from linear economy. Why we have so many plastic in the environment, in the soil, is because of the traditional linear economy. So this is a linear economy. Maybe many of you heard about, right? So we have resource, and then we take it, then we come to the factory, we make it, become a bottle, become a thing you use every day, and then finally you throw out into the environment, and it's become a waste. So I have a question. So after you drink a bottle of water, you throw into the garbage, right? Have you ever questioned yourself that's where the bottle go? Have you ever have the question? Have you ever have the answer? No, right? Some go to the sea, right? You see, some go to the sea. So many of you also like mine. 5 years ago, after I drink a bottle of water, I don't know where the water go. It might go to the sea, it might go to the soil, it might go somewhere else. Even though I read on the bottle, it have recycle me. But I don't know what is the recycle. What's the recycle meaning? So today I will review for you some of the new technology. Talking about waste, so where the waste go? It can go to the landfill, it can come to the sea, like Mr. Vinh said, or it can go to down recycling. Anyone here know what is the concept of down recycling? Anyone? What is the down recycling? Yes, correct. 100% correct. It's come to the product with less value. It's like a pallet, it's like a flower pot. It not come back to the high stream or upstream one. It's like the water bottle or used for the chemical industry. But now everybody is talking about circular economy. It's what we are doing. And we are the first company in Vietnam can do the upstream recycling. So what is circular economy about? So we start from waste collection. After you throw the bottle into the environment, so we put and we collect the waste. And after that, we do the sorting. We do 11 steps at the factory, and it becomes the RBT resin. So after the RBT resin, the manufacturing can flow it to the bottle again and go to the sale into the shopping mall or the supermarket and come back again. It's become the circular economy. So this is the circular economy concept. And finally, here in Vietnam, we can make it circular. Before it, we talking about recycling, but we not recycle 100% circular economy. And this is a collecting activity. So from the people who collect, we come to the factory, we segregate, and finally we come to the factory to make it become food contact product. So last year for DTR, we can recycle up to 1.3 billion plastic bottle and making it new life. Not like before, we downstream or we downgrade it. And one especially, our factory is zero waste. So we do with the green ambition. And we're thinking, what is good for environment. That is, our factory is no waste, no emission, and no wastewater. As many people come, even the global, they come to the factory, they still very impressed with the factory and what we are doing. And we're proud that we are made in Vietnam. And for the collecting, we have 100 satellite collection system and more than 2,000 suppliers in all around Vietnam to every day collect the waste bottle in the environment. And why we can supply for the food contact product? We have the certificate that's suitable for those FMCG manufacturing, like we have the FDA from US. Last year we can export 4,200 tons to US market. And in the US, I just come back from the US last few days. And in the US, I'm very happy I hold the bottle. It's come from the trust here from Vietnam and come to US, become a bottle. And we also can export to Euro, EU with the EFSA standard. And with many standards, we can supply to Coke, to Pepsi, to Unilever, and others. And here is the product. So we have the real product here, as you see from Mr. Hill later in the booth outside. So we can make for Lavi. So this is a bottle from Lavi. And from the Kirtland. So when I go to US, I go to the Coastland, I go to Costco, I found the product. Wow, this is making from the trust for Vietnam. So I hold this one in US. I feel very happy. And many of you in US, you might know the bottle from Niagara. This is very well known in US. And I go to the Universal Studio in Hollywood. I also hold this bottle. And this is made in Vietnam, from the trust in Vietnam. So this is amazing, right? And this is some of product we sell locally. We're doing selling for Dove, from Unilever, Sunlight. For the Sunlight, own the product in the stream using the recycled bottle. And this is where we're happy to see many of product making from recycled bottle. And this is our customer. You can see is own a big company. They also think about the environment. They also think go circular economy, going green. So that's why they hand in hand with us to make our country clean, green, and more beautiful. So that is our journey. And hopefully we can receive your support in our next journey. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lê Anh. And I guess he's now setting up for the panelists, right? Please, Kim, chị Ngọc, anh Lê Anh, please come to the stage.
Sorry, chị Ngọc ơi.
Rồi.
Chị viết ạ. Chị ơi, mình sau được không ạ? Hello anh. Em đi được không? Anh không đuối hả?
So once again, thank you for your interesting presentation on the session of circular economy and industry. So talking about circular economy, which is a broad area, and from Kim, you mentioned about the connection between the circular economy and ESG. I have a question for you here, but I would like to ask a bit more specific things on a marketplace. So circular economy, that means we trying to recycle. I mean, waste. We focus on the waste management, and from waste to back to the manufacturing process. So is there a marketplace for secondary material in Vietnam, and how to promote the exchange of the material of the secondary material in the country? For you, please, Kim. Yeah.
Thank you. It's very difficult question, right? All the question today is so difficult. About the secondary material marketplace, first of all, circular economy is solid waste management, recyclability, recycling industry is very important, play super important role in circular economy, but it's not, circular economy is not only about recycling. That's the first thing I just want to address there. Because there is a lot of challenge going to upstream product design and manufacturing in order to enable end-of-life recycling. So we talk about recycling rate. How much is the rate right now? Come back to the one challenge we have in Vietnam or macroeconomic is in emerging country, we do not have the absolute number of how many percentage of recycled material we have. So that's the first thing. The secondly, when come up to marketplace of secondary material is very important, especially right now. A lot of brand, a lot of consumer inquiry, recycle percentage in the product. The regulation in EU right now requesting, and US as well, requesting the percentage of recycled material in their product to be importing. And how production country like Vietnam and in Southeast Asia are able to respond to it, why we produce many kind of product. Plastic is only material. There is the other 1,000 kind of material, and here as IKEA have very clear strategy that they are seeking for how to transition 100% of their product into recycle and bio material, which is, I absolutely understand the challenge of Ngoc and how to find it. And so there is no marketplace at all. It's still informal. It's informal for different reasons, but one is the gap of knowledge of demand, and as well the ability of the supplier, because they do not know what are the IKEA and different company demand in terms of the technical, the quality and the type. It's staying informal and in kind of community where is a trader in the waste value chain, try to exchange each other, but it's not visible enough for consumer to aware of it. So there is a need of better communication of make recycler feel empowered to introduce their product. Second of all, I think it's needed to, the connection is as well for material inside the product. There is a lot of recycled material there. However, which product it can be in is still a myth. So a few products with a mono material is quite easy to transfer to from recycled material. But what other product with a more complex is still not yet being prioritized in terms of design. Okay, this product, this material should come from recycle. A lot of work have to do here. But of course, the communication, visibility to increasing its visibility probably the first place. And I believe that, I hope that UN is progressing on that, right?
Yes, thank you, Kim. Actually, yes, you touch a very good point. Of course, we are talking a lot about waste management and recycling when discuss about circular economy. But circular economy is not only waste management. I mean, the design stage is very important. And we often say 80% of the environmental impacts are identified at the design stage of any product. So once we can, see the environmental impact, I mean, focusing on the design, we might be able to address a lot of the environmental issues during the production and the manufacturing of the products. And the second point, you say, yes, from UNDP, yes, we are promoting the secondary marketplace. Plastic, textile, which is one of the priority, and and hope to share with you very soon. Thank you, Kim. For the next question, with chị Ngoc. So how are you working with your suppliers in integrating them into your vision of circularity and clean energy? The more important point is how you ensure they will comply with your standard and requirement.
Thank you. This is also a challenge question, actually. We know that in Vietnam, the recycle is not that new to everyone. And I think even though plastic or textile is also not that new, we already implement 100% recycled plastic and textile in the other country supplier like China and India. And in fact, they already implement 100% of that. However, the gap of the value chain here in Vietnam on the yarn producer and weaver is still a gap for us to work with. So it means that we already build that up on the supply chain, how it's influenced into our supplier, and they all know about the goal IKEA already set. For example, like the main movement of plastic, supplier have to implement until 50% of the recycled plastic in 2025 and 70% by 2030. And from 2030 towards, they need to fulfill another renewable plastic. It means that they have to phasing out all the fossil base into plastic area. For the textile, it's also the same. The main movement for textile is also have to be achieved 100% recycled textile in 2025. And along with that, we also have another project like 100% renewable electricity. And we have project leader here to facilitate the supplier to achieving that, to optimal on the climate footprint. So I think that is very clear strategic goal to all the supplier. And we have also compliance team to support for that. They are going to the supplier to do the assessment of on the minimum requirement we already set. So in China, in India, or even in the Europe country, and here also in Vietnam, we just started in last year, but I think that all supplier willing to work with that, with IKEA, when they already have clear goal from us. So for us, we think that on is already clear set, and supplier align with us too.
Yes, thank you, chị Ngoc, for that. A question for Mr. Lê Anh. So we know that, on plastic, there are millions of informal waste workers. Yeah, I read in a workshop organized by the Recycling Plastic Association. So there are millions of waste workers, informal waste workers, who are collecting and selling plastic. Collecting plastic from streets, from environment, even from the landfills. And actually, they are contributing to the waste management in the country. Otherwise, lots of plastic would have been in the ocean. So how do you see the role of this informal sector in the plastic industry, especially in the context of the EPR policy coming from 2024, and how DUYTAN is going to work with the informal sector?
As you see in the report, now we have 100 collection centers, and together with 2,000 suppliers to us. So most of them come from the informal sector. And we are now buying every day around 60 tons to 80 tons of waste plastic. And we see the trend that the informal sector is increasing. And together with the NGO and together with our client, we also do some training to train the worker how to collect efficient, equip them with the PPE for their safety when they work or collect. And after the training, I see the worker is collecting more efficient, especially they collect the high value one, and the low value they know how to segregate. But this is the thing I learned when I back from US, that the worker need to be more trained, and it's become the industry, if one become industry like for recycling. So I think we need put more efforts together with CO2P, together with UNDP or other organization. We can do a better environment for the informal sector.
Thank you, Mr. Liang. So actually,
Sorry,
yes,
can I
please.
have a, just because I just came back from India, week is, there is a global leader discussing about responsible sourcing for plastic waste. And we're saying how EPR can including, because EPR right now very focused on the volume, how we focus on the other value chain and social value there and ensure that the money is not only come to the recycler only, but is had to ensure it coming down to ensure the livelihood of the informal worker, or we call them the first mile, right? The one who actually do collection, get paid for their value of the waste, but not for the services they're doing. And hold the spectrum of responsible sourcing in terms coming from brand down, and how this now is still brainstorming because it's really challenge on how putting a responsible framework into which is pretty much informal and organized supply chain into an informal sector, right? So it's really challenge, but I would like to take the opportunity to see how we can address it to government role of like it not only bow, the EPR fee for the volume, but as well ensuring that percentage or the budget is coming down for the first mile worker as well. But it's a very beginning. I see it a great challenge. I'm really excited to see how EPR in Vietnam going to launching now and how it's able to leverage the livelihood of informal worker.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, talking about EPR is going to take us quite a long time to discuss. So just quick question on that, both to Anh Liang and Kim. So in EPR policy, two things, which Vietnam is quite unique compared to other countries. Firstly, you have several options, and there's one option to pay directly to the Vietnam Environmental Protection Fund. For other countries, most of the countries, they just set a target, recycling target, and the company has to comply. Here, you can either, if you cannot, then you just pay money to the fund, to the Vietnam, to Monterey, basically. So how do you see this as the company doing plastic and Kim, of course, chị Ngoc, if you have any comments.
I think it's very supportive. It's not all and giving better option for business in order to do, but how that EPR fund is going to be distributed and using is the next thing we're looking for, right? I think EPR, but what I'm sensing is EPR is not only about compliancy, as most of producer and brand, we are designing the EPR strategy for them. But it's coming along with the ESG with them, ESG target company has, and as well combined with CHR and sustainability value the company won. But more than that, circular economy or EPR become the competitive advantage that increasing the consumer interaction they have while they're launching the EPR or ESG strategy as well. So more and more we talk less around, compliancy, because we see that is a cost you're not paying now, you're going to pay more in the future. So a lot of brands really glad that a lot of MNC and corporation moving to that mindset. You're not paying now, then you're going to pay it big in the future. So that's why I see it's a positive and very supportive for the free rider, to avoid the free rider as well, of how government bring it out different option for producer.
So for me, in the plastic recycling, as I observe, so as you see, the recycling industry is very new industry in Vietnam. So you know, in the IKEA, they have mentioned several kind of material like plastic, glass, battery, etc. But so far in Vietnam, we only have the technology to recycle only for plastic, only for glass, and only for those metal. But the other material don't have the solution. So that's why in the first year, if the company, they cannot look into the recycler and they cannot do recycler properly, so it might become an issue. That's why in the 3 year of the first version of EPR, so they put the fee into the EPR. So they make the producer have the choice. They cannot find a solution. They can get into the final option is paying the money. So I think it's also suitable. But as I talking with several people in the ministry, they saying that the fee might be deleted in the near future after we have the very developed recycling industry. So I think that's also a good point.
Any comment from Chị Ngoc?
I think in IKEA we are doing more in a practical way. So normally we come with the technology how to return the waste into the recycled material. And from our side, even though the regulation is not ready yet, but we already set a minimum requirement at the compliance of social and environment from our IKEA. So we, based on that, to work furthermore with the recycler. And later on, of course, we are entering to the collectors, and also we have some project with the informal waste picker together with UNDP as well, and NGO, and also with some of project in India we also work with, and we influence that practice way to Vietnam and continuously working with that. And we want to build like something related to MRF, the Material Recycle Facilitate, and we align with UNDP to work with the Bình Định province, to work with Da Nang city, and especially also in Hội An to collect all the waste and entering that into our low-value plastic project to work with, and collaborate with some of enterprise to compress all of that low-value plastic, transforming to our furniture product. So from IKEA, we work on more practical way than what CO2B and DUYTAN is doing. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So I see that we are running out of time, and maybe like one last sentence from each of you related to the topic we are discussing in this session and also today, which is circular economy and industry, and more broader the ESG. So which would like to have your recommendation in terms of investment on the circular economy. So which area or which sub-area would you think that will be like the biggest potential for circular economy? Of course, beside a plastic area, right? From DUYTAN. No. Yes, please. Kim?
First of all, I hope that you guys has enjoyed, the conference. I think we all come here and hope we all come here with the mindset that we not come here to and walk out like, okay, we have solution, we have the, final answer. And I hope that we all come back with the question, more consolidated question of what your action can be, how your company can be a part of this transition for the better sustainable future, right? I think with circular economy, what I like about it, because I said why I starting my presentation with a lot of principle of linear economy and circular, and how we can how it different to circular because it's economic oriented approach. So it bound with the value chain of business, small and all kind of business. We can adapt circular economy to and practicing it And it's the ultimate goal you're going to achieve eventually SDG and ESG in a holistic way. However, it come back to building the foundation of your business stronger. And because it harmonizes the ecosystem of different suppliers, of different stakeholders surrounding the value chain of your business, including your client and your employee. So yes, starting with, I hope that my principle is useful for you to start thinking of where you can start.
Thank you, Kim. Any suggestion, any recommendation, anh Lê Anh?
Like 4 years ago, we're talking about not using a plastic. But so far up to now, you see, that statement is gone. So recently, we heard about reduce, reuse, and recycle. We cannot live without plastic, so we should reduce, reuse, and recycle. And hopefully, everybody in this room, we encourage your friend, your family using and support the recycled product. Through that, support the recycling industry in Vietnam. Thank you.
Chị Ngọc.
Yeah, from our part, apart from plastic and textile, I think secondary raw material project already been assigned for Southeast Asia, especially for Vietnam. And apart from plastic and textile, we have already implementing. We are going to have a next phase for metal, especially on aluminium and stainless steel, where we already in the scope of mapping the market here in Vietnam and finding some new factory to circular that metal in the recycle. For the paper and wood, for the wood it's already sustainable material. Only the thing is we try to maintain in the sustainable forest and reduce on the waste to the landfills. And on the paper, we have already implemented 100% recycled paper, which also come from responsible resource of FSC. So from IKEA side, I can say that for the next phase of circular economy here in Vietnam, it will be metal, aluminium, and stainless steel, where I'm also the one to lead on that secondary raw material.
Yeah. Thank you, chị Ngọc and anh Lê Anh for your practical recommendation, very connected to your work. So yes, we are running out of time, so maybe we cannot have the question from the audience, but one questions, please.
No question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Joanna. I'm here for a personal interest, but I'm in supply chain finance for sustainability. My question is really simple. How often do you have trainings to your employees about sustainability and CSR and whatever related to ESG in the company so that they will be well educated with the new terms and new things so that you can build strong foundation for the growth? Thank you.
Thank you. And I guess this question will be addressed to three of you. How often do you train your company staff?
So in plastic recycling, so you see the recycling in our name. So recycling in our DNA and ESG in our DNA. So every day we train and we practice ESG as our daily activity. Thank you.
And in your dream as well, right?
Yeah, in the dream as well.
Yeah, I think it's also the same as our. Actually, we do not have IKEA store and we do not have the workers here, but we have the on-office staff here in Ho Chi Minh City office. We're sitting here like 150 pupils in the office, and we is officers. So we have to be like leading by example to the other pupil because we already encourage them. So we have to lead by ourselves first. And then, of course, like a mirror to the pupil surrounding us. And same as the DUYTAN, of course, we always have the sentence like everyday university. And all of that we learn every day. And every day as well?
My experience is most difficult when implementing project is the vision of the leader, if we go this way, and the team is this. So the gap of understanding is large. So very important for the middle management really understand, what is the vision behind it and have the same understanding. And the successful of a company regarding sustainability is every single layer of the organization structure. When they make decisions, they make sustainability as important as finance in terms of criteria for make decision. So that is a successful for me. And I think that it's need more. You're putting the right question, and I think that we need to be more crucial to our team. That do you actually considering sustainability in your decision making? And if the middle management, it actually really think about and putting the vision of sustainability in operation day-to-day work, we need to measuring it. Awareness and knowledge is not something easy to measure. And if I'm working with a lot of MNC corporation, that is still a challenge. One, the sustainable department working with operation department. With my team, in terms of training, we do training for other business via the workshop facilitation for other in more kind of engaging kind of way, but it's still very challenging, if I be honest. So we need more and cheaper.
Thank you, Kim. So actually, it's right. Besides awareness raising, training, we also need others mechanism. And that is what we are working with the ministry, with the Monterey on the National Action Plan on Circular Economy. So training, capacity building, but some kind of must and also incentive mechanism for the companies, especially SME, to accelerate and really put into the transition to a circular economy. So once again, thank you for 3 panelists, and thank you, Race Partner, for inviting us to be here in this session. Thank you.